In Don Sparkle and the circle of life. Always here for a bit of cosplay. If Naomi Campbell's wearing it, I will happily oblige. Hi, I'm Clara Amfo. I am one of the hosts of Audible's brand new podcast, Fashioned. And like everybody in the internet era, Audible have been very good at stalking me online. In fact, they have done a very deep dive into my Instagram to have a look at some of my looks from years gone by. So let's delve into it further, shall we? Oh, the holy golden dress. So this dress is something that I wore on the 14th of July 2019. The date is seared on my heart because that is the day, friends, when I met Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter and she told me that she liked said dress. So this dress was designed by Halpin and I wore it when I hosted the premiere of Disney's The Lion King. So this was the big Leicester Square premiere and you know, Beyonce was there evidently, Sir Elton John, Pharrell Williams, Meghan and Harry, the whole shebang. And I thought, okay, I've got to come correct. I need to come with a strong look. And I thought, okay, what could I wear that would reflect the film but also reflect me? Because I always try and dress in theme with the film. And it was a black tie. Black tie was the advised sort of code of dressing. And you know, usually when you think of black tie, you think of a long ball gown, or like for me, I think of like deep jewel tones. But I thought, okay, let me just play with it a little bit. And I thought, I want to look golden. I want to look regal because it's the Lion King, right? And I just want to exude that sort of energy. And I remember seeing this dress and thinking, yes. Because I want to look like the sun. I want to look like the sun over the Serengeti. That was my sort of vision. And the dress had this amazing detail on it where you would move the fabric and it would go from gold to blue, which I thought was quite cool. So it was sort of like, you know, the warmth of the sun, or like the gold, like, I guess the feeling of royalty that you would get from hearing the title, The Lion King. But also just remember thinking of water, you know. And nature and the circle of life. Basically, I tried to do the circle of life in a dress, and I saw that dress and I thought, yeah, that's for me. I got myself in that dress, and that dress met Beyonce, and she said she liked it. So thanks, Halpin, for your wonderful design. So this is a mini dress. I believe it was designed by Pinko. So I wore this to the Brit Awards, I believe around 2016. It was the first time I'd worked at the Brit Awards on the red carpet hosting. This picture was taken at an after party that I DJ'd at. And you know what, I really liked that dress because it was just really fun and easy. I just love you know, a one zip and it's it kind of moment. I really liked this look because I'm very much into the 80s and it was sort of giving me you know, suburban 80s mum at cocktail party energy, you know, walking around with a plate of like little sausages on sticks, but make it fashion. I won't lie, I did have a few moments where I had to just go zoop with it, which I'm sure all people who wear dresses can relate to. But it was definitely one of my most favourite choices for the Brits. You know, at the Brits you always want to wear something that that kind of makes you feel like a pop star, even if you aren't one. And I definitely felt like a pop star on that dress. So this look right here, I think is one of my most favourite red carpet looks ever. This was designed by the brilliant Ashish. Ashish is an Indian designer who's based in the UK and he's really well known for his sequins. I call him Don Sparkle, that's my nickname for him, because he has got such a brilliant eye for detail and he's got such a brilliant way of just using sequins, almost like they're like his paint, you know. He just uses them in a really innovative way because I never used to be into sequins at all. I always found them a bit too girly and almost, and don't get me wrong, I like kind of kitschy, like chintzy stuff, but I always was a bit afraid of sequins. I think working in television, I've definitely learnt the value of sparkle, particularly with sequins, and now I want sequins on everything. I think at the time one of the captions I put with that look was, I think, Destiny's Child Survivor .mp3. Like, it just kind of gave me that energy. That was a good one. Proud of that dress. I guess there was prophecy in this look because, again, as somebody who wasn't an immediate sequins obsessive, I became a changed woman because of Ashish and his brilliant eye and how sequins make you feel. And I guess this is preparing me for Strictly. I'm afraid of sequins no more. In fact, I demand them. So thanks, Ashish. So this skirt is by one of my most favourite designers, and it's in my most favourite colour, which is yellow. She says wearing all black, but I love yellow. I love yellow so much. Yellow just makes me feel alive. It's a colour that I put on if I need a pick-me-up. It was done by Jacques Mu, who is this brilliant French designer, and I love his clothes because they are very effortlessly chic and they can be dressed up and dressed down immediately. Like, I could wear that skirt with a pair of trainers to a house party, but I could also fling on a pair of heels like I did in this photo. I wore that skirt to the Get Up Stand Up exhibition. So that was at Somerset House, and it was this brilliant exhibition of black photographers, designers, like basically just expression of blackness. That was the point of the show, and celebrating black art. And it just felt like the most fitting skirt to wear because, I think yellow as a colour is definitely a superpower for black people, particularly black women. Like, we love to wear yellow. I don't know a single black woman who doesn't feel great in bright colours, particularly yellow. And I wore it with like an African hair tie and big hoops and just a basic black bodysuit, and I just felt really powerful and really good in it. And I just always put that skirt on when I just want to feel powerful and bold, but also just carefree, because I think yellow is a very carefree colour. So this look is vintage Moschino, and I wore it to Notting Hill Carnival last year. What a time, eh? Carnival is such a fun weekend. I love it. I don't know anybody in my friendship groups anyway who doesn't love it. It's such a joyous occasion. You feel free, you're dancing in the street, eating good food, you're drinking good drink, you're hearing your favourite tunes. It's like Christmas to me. I see people that I haven't seen for years out and about, and it's just a really loving, fun occasion. But if there's one thing that is certain at Carnival, you have to come with a strong look. And every year at Carnival, I just stick to the same colour palette. It's either red, yellow, green or black, or an amalgamation of the three. You see people representing where they're from. Of course, it is a carnival that was started by West Indian people from the Caribbean, and it has become inclusive to people from all over the world, but that is its roots. I'm Ghanaian, so I always like to have a little nod to my culture in any one of my outfits. So I picked the yellow and red from the Ghanaian flag for this look, and I got this from a vintage shop called Palm Vaults. It's like an online space, and they've also got a cafe as well, and they've got loads of vintage sort of Moschino, Versace, all of those sort of looks. I love that sort of gaudy 90s bodycon tight aesthetic, whether it's denim or whatever. And I loved this dress so much. It also has a matching cap to go with it, and yeah, I just felt really good in it. It's just for me, that is the perfect carnival look for me. It was just nice and easy, one zip and done, and it was little fuss with big impact. So this look is by Emilio Della Morena. I just felt really cool because actually I remember that year so many people on the red carpet were doing big flowing gowns and super bright and super short stuff. So in that sense, I didn't look like anybody else, so I felt really cool in it. These trainers are actually what I'm wearing today. They are a Nike collaboration that my lovely friend Adjoa Aboa created, and it's based on her catchphrase, which is "Mad Love," in her voice, "Mad Love." Adjoa's got a very deep voice, mad amounts of love, and she put them on the back of these lovely trainers. They're a Nike blazer, which is just a classic Nike style. I've always loved this style of shoe, and I think when it comes to fashion, we are all directly influenced by the music that we listen to, the music, the culture that we take in, whether that's through film or music, the TV we watched growing up, whatever. And you know, growing up and still to this day, like I love hip hop music. And I love hip hop from, you know, what they say was the golden classic era, you know, late 70s, early 80s, 90s hip hop is some of my most favourite music ever. And this Nike blazer is like the quintessential sort of like fly girl, you know, trainer. I just love it, and it makes me feel like, you know, I should be living in New York in like 1989. So that's why I like them. Little throwback moment here. Me and my mum. I do not look impressed by this outfit because I don't think I was. I don't remember this day, but from my face you can tell that I really wasn't into this look. You know, as a little kid, my mother and I had a lot of conflict over my sartorial choices, and to be fair, it happens now as an alleged adult, but this time she can't really force me in and out of my outfits. But yeah, I'm dressed as a sort of, I guess, like a sort of little sailor here. And to be fair, I do like a nautical look. She looks great. Like, see what my mum's wearing in this picture? I would wear that. Like, I could imagine seeing that on a lot of online retail spaces now. I remember she told me my dad bought her that outfit from Saudi Arabia when he was working out there, and I love it, and I love the clash with the bag as well. Strong look, Gracie. You look fab. So these are from a shoot that I did with Cosmopolitan magazine. They were very lovely and made me their October cover girl, which was a delight and an honour. And part of doing that was, yeah, being around all these bright colours. So the first look is a mixture of Ganni, who's this brilliant Danish brand, and I just love all the clothes they make. It's just like, you know, you just feel like someone's in your head and they've made something especially for you. And I love animal print. So that was the bodysuit that I'm wearing, and the skirt is by a Colombian designer called Anciella London. And it was just really cool. It's actually part of a two-piece, but we just thought we'd just wear the skirt because there was so much cool motion in it, and I wanted to be able just to swish it, give it the true swish power that it deserves. And the second look is by this brilliant Nigerian designer called Kenneth Eze, who has had Naomi Campbell walk for him. So I thought, listen, man, if Naomi Campbell's wearing it, I will happily oblige. So that was by him, and I wore some Sophia Webster shoes with that look. And I love the colour mixture of it. Fun story behind that is that, you know, when you do photo shoots, you are kindly lent clothes by designers, which is always, you know, well, yeah, it's a perk of the job to have people kindly want to lend you stuff, but people will lend out sample size, which is meant for models. I'm not a model, and I'm very comfortable with that, but I didn't quite fit into those trousers. So the start with how they're supposed to look, they're supposed to be a little bit higher up the leg, but I couldn't get them fully over my non-model thighs, so they actually came up to here on me. But what we did was pull the blazer down lower so you couldn't notice. But those trousers are basically at the bottom of my bum cheek, but with the power of great angling, you don't see that, so that's exclusive for you. But love that design, so thank you, Kenneth. This look is from the cover of the September issue of British Vogue, and it was an honour. You know, I shared space with some brilliant people in this edition of the magazine. So, I mean, you see my picture there, but it definitely wasn't just me. I shared space with Rennie Edo-Lodge, Angela Davis, Bernice King, as in daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., Tamika Mallory, Janet Mock, incredible people who, you know, who are just speaking their truths when it comes to black people receiving fair and honest treatment in this world. It was a really powerful issue, and you know, I chose just to wear something, well, just simple, because I think it wasn't about, oh, look at me in this dress. And this outfit I like because it, you know, it's just black leather, understated, and you know, I didn't want to wear anything particularly distracting, so I chose that piece. It's by Ganni. There were so many brilliant people involved in that issue, and it was just an honour to be part of it. And just salute to Miss Anne Harriman who shot the cover as well, because he's just got such a brilliant eye and just brought the best out of everyone and just conveyed everyone's truth beautifully. Thanks very much for checking out my looks from the past few years. I hope you enjoyed them, and do make sure you check out Fashions, the brand new podcast available exclusively on Audible.